we've allowed a lot of these issues, the presidency, we've allowed, the death of a man, we've allowed COVID-19 to just give people excuses and reasons to go out there and act a fool. And when you start decriminalizing a lot of things and people aren't afraid of the consequences, this is the society you're going to get. Hey, what's going on, guys? Before we jump into today's podcast, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Thin Line Anthem. If you guys want to get in shape, make sure you guys check out Thin Line Anthem at thinlineanthem.com. Make sure you guys use promo code It's Needed, all caps, no spaces, for 25% off your order at checkout. Thanks again and God bless. Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. What's up, bro?
I'm just out here chilling in the beautiful Columbus, Ohio, brother. How you doing?
That man finally got his own bootleg horn over there. He finally got his own
speakers
bootleg.
all blown.
I know. from his iPhone 1 that he did that.
He's on a Samsung, like what, Galaxy 2?
How y'all just gonna roast me opening up the podcast? I came with the sound effects, all right?
Man. And
I came through when Billy couldn't.
Hey, that's true. Good point, man. Billy about to fire on you, though. And we are also joined by the Savage himself, who is recovered from COVID-19, Mr. Billy the Savage.
It wasn't COVID, and I got some big news for our Canadian listeners, but let's finish the intros, and I'll let you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm excited.
Did you hear that? Talking about?
Talking about, I didn't hear him, but I'm excited because Ryan, do you know this info?
I just heard a little bit of it. I think I just heard a little bit of it. But it's funny because last week Billy was just deteriorating before my eyes, bro. Like Billy started okay, and then as the podcast digressed, bro, like I saw him sweating,
slumping in the chair,
cold sweat.
The intro said it all.
Yeah.
Hi guys. I was like, oh, Billy himself.
Billy had me go get COVID-19 tested last week, bro. No joke. I did go get COVID-19 for the first time.
That's your first time ever getting tested?
Yeah, because they don't stick it all the way up in your nose anymore.
You were scared. So you were scared, so you didn't get COVID-19 tested. That's what you just told the whole world.
Yep, and because I had no symptoms, so I'm not about to go get tested if I didn't have no symptoms. But I got it because I thought Billy had it. No joke.
I thought he did too. Look, I text Billy the day after we recorded, and then the day after that, checking up on him like I was like a concerned parent.
You were serious.
Some soup, Billy? Like I could Amazon Prime you some soup.
DoorDash you. I'm a DoorDasher to you.
Yeah.
Today's podcast is also a little different. For the first time that we've done, this is the first time we've ever done this since we've started our podcast, which was a little over 2 years ago. We got a podcast fan in the building. One of our most adamant super fans.
They've heard his name.
Friends. You guys have heard us talk about him before.
Oh yeah.
My man.
Yeah. He won something.
Yep. He won something. Goes by Big Blue. We got my man Alex in the building. Alex, man, what is going on, bro?
It's an honor to be here, guys. Honor to be here.
Oh man, it's a pleasure, man, and I can't thank you enough. And we're gonna get into that in a little bit. I want to talk about how it came to be our relationship, how you started listening to the podcast, and what it's done for you. And so, it's a true honor to have you here, bro, in the building. Because there's no better way than to see the fruits of your labor than to have some of the people that you share those fruits with. So,
for sure.
So it's an honor to be here. But anyways, current events, man. Driving to the studio today, I turn on the radio and I'm listening to, they got Christmas music on. So as a matter of fact, they do. You must be one of those Christmas haters, bro.
It's not even can we get past Thanksgiving? We just skip Thanksgiving?
Because 2020 needs some Christmas spirit, bro.
I agree, but we got greens, beans, tomatoes. We need Thanksgiving, all right?
I'm going to need you to open us up, Billy, this podcast with "It's the most wonderful time." Yeah, we need that.
Not, Billy.
Yeah, no, hey. Executive decision, bro. Executive decision. That's what we go open this podcast.
So we just learned he can bulldoze over all of us, I guess.
That's what I heard. Like, y'all don't care what y'all say. I'm doing it. He can't even do it. He got to ask you to do it, Billy.
I know, right? I'm gonna just get it on my iPhone 1 and put it on here. Then if he don't do it,
making fun of my phone.
But
today is election day.
Today is election day. I voted.
I voted too.
And in the spirit of election day, I got a funny election story. or a politics story. So last week I'm on patrol and we go to an alarm call. So somebody's house, we call it a panic alarm, and usually people have panic alarms at their house, and so they can set it off by accident. So we went like in normal fashion. We showed up, and so everything was. Should I say the race of the lady? No, I guess not. But
I mean, does it apply? I don't know. Like,
no, it does, but it doesn't. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. But you guys will. But
What?
you'll see what I'm talking about. Because it's funny how we always make fun of Billy. So it's one of those. So
Oh,
you'll get what I'm
gosh.
you'll
So
get what
it
I'm
does
saying.
apply.
You'll get what I'm saying. But anyway, so we pull up and super nice lady, super nice. You know, she has 2 kids out there. And so we clear the house, make sure everything is good. And so kids come out and, you know, they're all, you know, love cops. So we give them stickers. But they have a big old thin blue line flag in front of their house and a thin red line flag in front of their house. So I was like, oh, man, this is cool. Like, you guys support police. That's good to know. I was like, you know, I was like, is somebody in your family here a policeman or firefighter? And she was like, no. She was like, we're just super Republican.
No, they didn't say that.
We're just super Republican, bro. And that was funny because I wanted to be like, and I'm just super Democrat. But it was just funny. She was super nice lady, but I started cracking up when she said that, bro. I was like, I've never had nobody just be like,
Did she like pump her fist
she
like
did.
in the hooking action?
She
like,
did. We're just
Great.
super Republican. I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Be proud, dude.
Make America
Be
great
proud.
again. I
Hold
see
down.
you. So, but yeah, it is election day, and we are in full swing. And I just want people to realize, like, no matter who you vote for, no matter who wins the race, I saw a quote yesterday that said, hey, no matter who wins, whether it's Trump or Biden, winners will win and losers will lose. And I think that's what it comes down to. Is that no matter what president is in there, you still have the ability to go out there and do you.
we the people, baby.
That's right. Look, why am I Republican? Hey, but something else I want to remind you. So I had a really good conversation with somebody that I look up to yesterday about this exact thing. And, you know, tensions are high and people are worried and talking about leaving the nation and all of this stuff. But something I want to remind you is no matter who wins this election, God is still in charge.
Boom, there it is.
Despite who is in office, despite who claims they're running this show, God is still in charge. So if you need a little piece of positivity or reassurance, let that be it.
Bro, I had to listen to some Christian music on the way home yesterday just to remind me of that because, you know, I started feeling a little bit of anxiety here and there. Like, dang, like who the heck is going to win? But God reminded me, like, hey, he's still in control. So no matter what happens, it's part of his plan. It wasn't like this is a random, it happened by chance. So,
That's it.
Bill,
you hit the Maverick City Music?
What's that?
It's a Christian group.
Yeah. I love,
Yeah, you got to check. Whoo.
Yeah.
They got
Matter
some
of fact,
heat. Go
Dr.
ahead.
Holmes is the one that sent us. Well, I had already been listening to him, but she had sent us that one time.
Oh, you're right.
in the group
Yep.
text.
She sure did. Yeah, that's
so,
mine. Yeah, I get down with them.
Yep. So, Billy, what's your announcement, bro?
Yes. So, announcement for our Canadian listeners: turn off the hockey and listen up. So,
Billy was thinking about that joke all night, by the way.
Thin Line Anthem is now shipping to Canada.
Oh,
So-
let's go.
Wow.
So
There
If you're
we go.
tired of making protein powder taste better with your maple syrup, if you just need something that tastes good right out of the can or the jar, Thin Line Anthem is shipping to you any province you're in. All right? So,
Billy just
stayed
read
up-
this off of a script.
Billy stayed up all night.
I got an email and I was like, okay, how can I make fun of Canadians?
Billy was like, you know what? He was like, babe, how does this sound? He probably ran it by his wife like 10 times before he dialed that in.
Oh yeah, he was in front of the mirror getting all pumped.
Billy almost
Holding
had
the microphone.
Billy almost had his own sound effects.
You got to practice your bit, you know? You got to practice it. so.
Dun-dun-dun.
So I actually, that's great news because I actually have some friends in Canada who have been asking.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Josh, I know you're listening to this. You specifically, hop on that website.
Good.
Man, so
What's up with you, Ryan? How you doing today, brother?
Well,
Give me some good news. Give me some positivity today.
positivity. Well, I
Give me
guess this
something
is
good.
positive. I'm gonna read a comment that I got this morning. So last week I had the opportunity to do an interview with Michael Strahan, which was phenomenal. By the way,
Casual.
yeah, whatever.
Normal day.
So
Okay.
it was very cool to say the least. And
For
so,
sure.
anyways, yesterday I posted a quick snippet of that on our Instagram account. So I got a comment this morning, and I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know if I should take it in a
You're like,
positive way.
F12.
Yeah. Well, kind of along those lines. So this was a comment on the Michael Strahan video. So it's kind of funny, actually. It said, "Props to you and BBU for your hard work and accomplishments. This is coming from someone who hates pigs."
Here, listen to me.
So-
let me address this real quick for everybody out there.
So I don't know how to
because
take
I get
that.
these messages too, right? Like I get the, hey, I hate cops, but I like you.
You're
And I
pretty
just wanna-
good for
let me
dirty
give you an
swine.
example. Let me give you an example of what you're saying. That'd be like somebody being like, hey, I don't really like black people, but
I
you're
like
cool.
you.
You're
Like,
right.
like, stop. Like you can't insult me and say you don't like me and then be like, yeah, you're all right. Like I hate that. I absolutely hate
So
that.
when I got that, I was kind of laughing, but I was like, I don't know if I should take that as a compliment.
Maybe you're changing their perspectives little by little. Who
Oh,
knows?
maybe.
That's one way to look at it. That is one way to look at it.
So in positivity, I guess we're changing perspective. So that's some positive news to start the day off. And but on another brighter note, going back to comments, this one is actually cool because and AJ could probably relate to this. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that can relate to this, but because of social media, we start developing relationships with people we don't even know. Kind of like with, if for example, prime example, Alex. We had Big Blue here, and I know him as Big Blue because that's his name on Instagram. So I don't even really call him Alex because I just know him as Big Blue. But we have a relationship that started via social media, which is cool. And I guess that's where we'll go with this topic today and talk about how we can utilize social media for the positive and look past things. But on that note, I got a comment last week from a guy that's been following me for a while. Now, when I talk about relationships, some of these relationships, they start off on a rocky start. Like you have followers that will follow you but don't like you. They follow you because they're intrigued by the content you put out, but they don't necessarily like you, and they're always clapping back with some negativity. But
the shade.
Yeah, but there's certain ones that I'll recognize and I'll start to have like good conversations with. So I don't respond to them with that same energy they come at me. I'll hit them with like, professionalism, whatever it may be, and then I always throw at the end, God bless. When you throw a God bless, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to clap back at somebody that tells you God bless.
You gonna God bless me?
You gonna God bless me? You ain't gonna God bless me. So, anyways, this was one of those guys, and so I made a post last week, and let me see what post it was. Let me see if I can zoom in on this thing. Can you turn my mic up a little bit, Billy? Just
Turn my snare up.
Turn the music.
Ryan
up,
got on
please.
capris right now. I just want everybody to know that.
Hey, whatever.
For everybody who can't see, Ryan got on some capris.
That's actually my leg right there, bro. So I made a post, and the title was, "My goal is not to get you to like police." And the whole idea of that post was, hey, and I've said it before, is like, hey, when I make posts, I'm not really trying to get you to like police. I just want you to have a different perspective of things the next time you see a bad police video. So anyways, I make that post, and then one of the guys that I had this relationship with started rocky, but over the time we've had some good dialogue with one another. He sends me a comment, and I actually thought it was pretty cool. He said, "I thank you for that. Honestly, our conversations has really opened my eyes. Crazy part is now I get the wrath from people when I try to be objective. I appreciate you allowing me the time to vent and then giving me another point of view. So thank you for the dialogue." And so the encouragement from that is like, hey, it is good to have these conversations and dialogue. It's interesting though that when he finds himself having a different perspective, some of the same people in his circle are probably ridiculing him now because they haven't had that opportunity to have a good dialogue. And so, one of the things that Strahan asked me at the end of my interview was, hey, what are some of the things that we can do to help you out, to help BBU out? And I told him as simply as this. I said, get to know me, have conversations with me. You don't need to do anything for BBU. You don't need to send me a check in the mail, although I'd probably take it, but
yeah, absolutely.
But what you could do is just get to know me, because that's what Strahan has got to do. And Strahan said it himself. And what I'm going to do, Billy, and this is what I would like to do, is I want to play the clip from that interview I did with Strahan when he talks about when he actually called me up to ask me about the Breonna Taylor situation. So during this interview with Michael Strahan, he actually talks about how when he called me up to ask me or get some perspective on the whole Breonna Taylor situation, because he actually went to go interview the first officer that walked through the door. And that was on Good Morning America, and it was also on 2020. And so I'm gonna play that clip to you guys right now, and then we're gonna come back and talk about it.
Monday morning quarterback is different when you're doing it because you're actually in the field and you're active in it now. I used to hate it, and I still hate it when you got somebody who never put on a uniform was out there telling you how to hate it. You actually are in it right now. You're in the game. And you gave me some good advice last week when I went to Ohio, and I had a chance to interview Jonathan Mattingly, who was one of the officers who was involved in the Breonna Taylor case. And you broke some things down to me and explained it to me in a way that made me understand both sides a lot better. And I do think that is something that we are missing.
So now that we've listened to the video, the cool thing about that is Michael Strahan. If you guys aren't familiar with Michael Strahan, Mr. Gap himself, he prides himself on the gap he has, but he's a Hall of Famer, played for the New York Giants, won a Super Bowl. He is one of the hosts for Good Morning America, used to be on Kelly Ripa and all that stuff. So he's a phenomenal guy, and I've gotten to know him over the course of the last 3 or 4 months pretty well, actually. We've gone golfing together, things like that. And so he had made this phone call to me before he went to go interview one of the officers from Breonna Taylor, and during that phone call, he asked me, hey, is there any other perspective you can give me before I interview him? And so I gave him my perspective as a police officer. And I think what I appreciate most about it was the simple fact of he was able to take heart of it. He didn't have a closed heart. It wasn't like, hey, just tell me so I can say I checked the box and I talked to a police officer. No, he actually took heart to that, and he brought it up himself. And so, AJ, what's your opinion? And I might actually bring it over to Big Blue in a little bit, but what is your opinion on people trying to find perspective or get conversation or, outlooks during our conversations or just relationships with police officers in general?
You learn nothing from a one-sided conversation. That's something I learned as a teenager. You can never have a one-sided conversation and expect to learn from it. You have to have like some sort of dialogue. And, shout out to Strahan for being man enough to say, you know what, like, I don't know enough about this topic. I know someone that I trust, so I'm going to go to that person, and hopefully he or she could change my perspective, because that's what it's really about, is hearing people's perspectives and what they went through and how it affected them, and how you could take that and maybe take it somewhere else and teach a crowd, or maybe even you just pass that information on to somebody else. But we all go through different things for a reason, because there's lessons in these things. So I might learn something when I trip and fall different than what Ryan learned when he tripped and fall. But the beauty about it is Billy could ask us both and have two different perspectives that he values, learn from it, and continue to go on.
Exactly. You're exactly right. What do you think, Billy? Because I know you've been with us for a while and having conversations. Because did you know any police officers prior to meeting AJ and I?
No, not personally, not really. None that actually, that's not true, but none that I talked to about police work.
So I know that you weren't anti-police. You were super Republican, but have we been able to change your perspective or just get different insight? And we had a conversation the other night, actually, when I was telling you, you called me, and it's funny because Billy would call me, or I'll call Billy while I'm working or whatever. And, Billy's doing whatever he's doing, and he'll ask me, hey, yeah, what you up to? And I'm like, I'm at work. And just so happened the other day when he called me, I was telling him I was on a child abuse investigation where I was investigating a situation where a 3-month-old child had a fractured hand and then a fractured shoulder. And Billy was like, bro, like, I forget, like, you do a job that's not like a normal.
It's just heavy a lot.
Yeah. And then the day after, just yesterday, I was handling a case where these two girls, 13 and 14-year-old, they had been sexually assaulted by their grandfather from ages 4 to 9, and their aunt just so happened to be victimized by her dad, which is their aunt. And so he's been locked up for a long time, so anyways, that's the story of our life. So Billy, how has your perspective changed just kind of by knowing us?
Well, like you said, it just kind of gave me more of an understanding of what you guys go through. But I think even from some of the guests we've had on, I've gotten more perspective even from the community side. So I have a little more I guess, understanding or empathy towards like what that side is feeling, or maybe like people who, you know, aren't fans of police. I kind of listen more.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about.
Got you.
So yeah.
Got you. Big Blue, on to you. So you tell us how you found the podcast, and then tell us why you've stuck with us for so long, because you don't have to listen to us. You don't have to drive all the way out here to sit with us in the studio. You don't have to rock our shirt. I mean, you don't have to do none of that stuff. What is it about this podcast, me, AJ, Billy, or whatever it is, that has drawn you to us? I mean, quite frankly, you'd be like, man, I don't really like y'all that much. I just
came here to let y'all know a person.
Yeah. Big Blue is really a secret hater. He came in here to hate on us in person. But
forget you.
Yeah, forget you. I'm glad I got some airtime, because now I'm gonna let y'all know how I really feel. But no, real talk though. What is it? What has it been about this, everything that's been going on the last 2 years, that's kind of drawn you to us?
So I think I was at work browsing through Instagram, and I was able to find your guys' page off of a sponsor, and it was I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a presentation of you kind of giving a perspective of what police officers encounter. It was something to do with students back in the day. So that kind of got my eye, because it caught my eye just because, of course, I was super Republican and always looking at, I didn't think police officers could do any wrong. So being able to kind of see the light and see, you know, what police officers do wrong, and being able to see, because one of the biggest arguments is that people do not think that police officers kind of call each other out. So the biggest thing with this podcast, other than the fact that it has kind of helped me more spiritually as well, that's one of the biggest things, was, you know, my walk with God, and being able to be more open about that, because quite frankly, it's not very popular to talk about God, you know, and so it's helped me out tremendously with that. That's number one. Number two, it's being able to empathize with other people, you know, you guys being two African Americans and Billy. And
and Billy.
And
mind you, AJ is only half black, so we don't know. According to our
it's
guest,
questionable. It's still up in the air.
What did the dude say? I don't know what he.
Why are you trying to act? Why are you trying to sound black?
Yeah,
only half black.
Yeah, so dumb.
Yeah,
But yeah, sorry about that.
So really, just being able to empathize with people that I can't. Unfortunately, I don't know what black people come up, you know, I didn't have to have the talk. I'm Hispanic myself. So being able to kind of see the perspective of other people, just like the guys that you guys have brought in, just like Ethan and Artie, just being able to be on the bad side of policing and be able to come in here and have a full on conversation in order to change their views. That's why it's changed my perspective, to be able to open my ears to other people and listen to, like you guys said, it's important to be able to hear two sides of the story, because one side is always going to be one-sided. So it's important to be able to just really listen to both sides in order to really learn and how to, you know, move forward, especially because that's what we need in today's day is empathy and to move forward.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
That's good. And, you know, it reminds me of, you know, this time I was at work, and like me and like two of my coworkers got sent to this house, and I may have shared this story before, but I mean, this is just like smack dead, you know, hit the nail right on the head. So we go to this house, and there's like this little girl, and she's maybe like 6 or 7 years old. And when she seen us, she was terrified, like scared. She ran behind her mom, and her mom's like, "Yeah, sweetie, we don't talk to the police." And I forget the whole story, why we were there, who called us and whatnot. But you know, we end up handling the situation. And afterwards, we go back to the substation, and the officers were like upset, like they were like throwing stuff like, "That's what's wrong with this world. Why would she tell her daughter that they don't talk to the police? Now she's gonna grow up hating the police." And I had to stop like the entire room and say, "Hey, how do we know that mother wasn't victimized or had some sort of like traumatic experience from the police, and she's passing that knowledge down to her daughter because she cares about her?" And you could just kind of see the whole mood of the room shift. Like, wow, you know, I never thought about that. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just bringing that different perspective of, hey, we don't know. We don't know what she experienced, whether it's right or wrong, like her actions. We at least have to take a step back and go, okay, why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Why are you telling your daughter, your son that? And then we could break it down from there, right? Because once we dove deeper into this conversation and I gave him scenario after scenario, say she was wrongfully pulled over and the officer said, I pulled you over because you were black. Hypothetical, right, situation. Of course she's going to tell her daughter, don't trust the police. This is what happened to me. She loves her daughter. The same way that you're going to tell your kids, if you have them, or your loved ones, your experiences, because you want them to thrive and succeed in life. So she tells her daughter that exact same thing, and then that daughter grows up. And if she doesn't have a positive police interaction, right, from us, because we are the police, the law enforcement representatives, then who is going to break that stigma, that generational stigma when it comes to law enforcement?
Yep.
So it's important to understand people's perspectives, because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what somebody went through to make them think the way that they do.
You're absolutely right. And Alex, you brought up two good points right now. The first point is, and actually it's kind of reaffirming to me, and I'm sure it is to AJ and Billy, that from a spiritual lens, the importance of standing strong in your faith and what you believe. I truly believe that God has called us to do this work, and I always have to allow him to lead me and to go forward and to know that it's impacted you. Because think about it, I never even knew you, Alex. So it's just kind of amazing how podcasts and social media can bring people together to further God's kingdom. That's what it's all about. And that's what we need to be reminded for on this election day. Like AJ said it before, is that no matter who wins, God is still in control. Second thing you brought up, which brings a unique perspective, at least it does to me, is the fact of, you said something that you were pro-police. And so the mere fact that because you were pro-police, one of the things that drew you to this podcast was the fact of it opened your eyes to say that, hey, law enforcement isn't all good. That's unique, because typically it's the other way around. Typically it's one of those that, hey, you don't like police at all. And yet we bring the perspective like, okay, all police aren't bad. So it's kind of unique to hear the fact of, hey, you're super pro-police, but yet to hear about some of the mistakes that we've made, and you search us out and you follow us because you want to know more. That to me is what I call as somebody that you're headed in the right direction, no doubt about it, because that's what we need. I always tell people this, like, if you, and I think I've said it before on the podcast, if you are on the far left side, get to know somebody on the far right side. If you're on the far right side, get to know somebody on the far left side. But we don't do that. We like to stick to what we're comfortable to, because that's human nature. I get it. But how are you supposed to get a legitimate perspective and make you more educated on what's going on if you stick to who you side with? And so one of the best movies, I don't know if have you ever seen the movie Vantage Point? Have you guys ever seen that movie? Man, it's a great movie.
I never seen it.
It's a great movie. I really, you guys should watch it. It's probably like early 2000s, maybe early to mid 2000s. But the whole premise of the movie was there's a terrorist attack that happens in, I think it's like the UK or something like that. And so they show this terrorist attack, and throughout the movie, they show the same terrorist attack, but they show it from different angles. So deep. Like it will be
like different storylines,
right? So a family that was just in the park when it happened, then they'll show it from maybe two other guys that are just happen to be riding their bike through the park, and then the terrorist attack happens. And so while they're showing it from different angles, what you're seeing is you're getting a little bit more to the story as it's showing it from these different angles. Like you might see the terrorists come and walk by one family that didn't recognize it, but then you see, so it's just cool. But the thing I like about it and the way I relate it to life is that in life, we need different vantage points in order to tell the whole story. Because when you only have one part of the story, that's not going to give you a full picture of what the story really entails. And so that's what we need to do in society in order to make our society grow, hands down. I mean, because if you don't do that, how can you expect to move forward if you're only going to get your side? And so in light of politics, again, I'm going to bring up something else that I saw the other day. I'm not going to use the word frustrated because my wife gets mad at me because she says I'm always frustrated. But
you know what's funny is Shelby brought that up too. She was like critiquing the podcast. She was like, Ryan's always frustrated. And she was like, you're always, what she say? I always say something. I forgot.
Wait,
That's
is there
funny.
more
All right.
frustrations? Do I need to get a list from the wives and make some changes?
Right, bro. I told her I love my wife dearly, but I told her I was like,
But
I said, how come every time we talk about the podcast, you always got to be like, tell me something I'm doing wrong?
I mean, we
why
got to
can't you
improve.
big
so.
me up.
I know you're supposed to be my hype man, boo. Baby, you supposed to be my hype man. Like
My ride or die.
yeah, my ride or die. I can do no wrong. Yeah, I'm your saving grace, boo. But anyways, no, but it's
I'm frustrated talking about this. Matter of fact.
no, but she's so right. She is right. I mean, and we've had those conversations, and she's absolutely right. Going on the topic of perspective, one of the things that I do appreciate about her, and I don't probably give her enough credit, is that she brings another perspective to me to make me better. And so, babe, if you are listening to this, which I know you probably will, I appreciate you because I do need to realize that I'm not perfect and I can always get better. And so that perspective is truly appreciated by me. And so I love you dearly. But I am frustrated on this topic.
hey, and that's one thing a wife will do is keep you humble. Like,
yeah.
you
No doubt
think you
about
hot
it.
stuff,
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you do this, you say this too much, you can't say this word right. I'm like, dang, chill.
Yeah, I know. She was like, since we on it, I got a laundry list of things that you can get better on. So oh man. But on that note, I saw this. Bernie Sanders said this when it went back to the Philadelphia shooting last week that occurred when officers responded to a call for service where a guy was mentally ill, attacking his family, quite frankly, and then he comes out with a knife. Officers end up using deadly force, kill the man, and then there was social unrest. Bernie Sanders said this. Walter Wallace should be alive today, and our thoughts are with his loved ones. The police responsible for murdering him in front of his mother instead of getting him the medical attention he needed should be arrested, investigated, and prosecuted by the Justice Department. That's somebody that doesn't have a full perspective. And the sad thing about it is that's somebody that's in a place that garnishes a lot of attention, a lot of influence. For somebody to come out there and say that so quickly after that event happened is terrible. It's horrifying because how many people that do follow you that are going to read that and take that to heart and be like, yep,
Yeah.
these officers absolutely should be prosecuted for murder. That was not, and I came out there right after the fact and said this, you can't make a judgment call based on what these officers did this quickly about it. You can't. Two, those guys were doing what they had. They got called for a service to help out somebody to help family members out there were getting beat up by this guy. But long story short, that's somebody that doesn't have all the different perspectives that is needed in order to make a valid decision or conclusion about that.
And they were down there rioting. I didn't even say protest. They was down there rioting.
Yep.
I seen them like looting stores, coming out with like big screen TVs. And I'm like, man, you clearly have your own agenda. If you seen the same video that I saw and you get so worked up that you're going to go to Best Buy and get a TV, like you got your own agenda. Like you are not that upset about that video if you took the time out your day to go to Best Buy and get you a big screen. Like, come on now.
It's kind of weird how it's getting normal now.
What was that?
It seems like the looting's getting normal. Like next time a video comes out, Best Buy is just going to set all their stuff out on the sidewalks. Like, please don't break our windows. Like
They
it's
might as
getting
well.
normal. Yeah.
I think we get dropped by the insurance companies. Like, yeah, this your 18th claim this month. Like, we can't keep
pretty
insuring you.
pretty soon there's going to be a looting insurance specifically for that.
See,
That's
no,
true.
there seriously will be. Like, we joke, but that 100% will be a thing. And, talking about that, here we go. Look, talking about that, you're seeing all these videos of like downtown major cities boarding up. Like downtown Columbus right now is boarded up. All the windows, which, major cities downtown, they're all glass front, windows or whatnot, storefronts, they're all boarded up in anticipation of the election riots. Is that the society that we've become? Come on.
So
we get so upset. We're going to go start busting out windows and
Yep.
burning our city down. Like, come on.
Even Rodeo Drive or whatever, where Ryan shops, is boarding up too. like
Ryan does.
expensive Beverly Hills.
I shop at Fodale Drive.
That's where he got them capris.
I shop at Hooddale Drive, bro. But it's funny. It's funny because I actually just saw this morning, and I don't know how true. 2 years ago, I would have saw something like this and I'm like, that's not true. That's fake news. Nowadays, I'm like, that's probably very true. But there was a comment and somebody made a post that says, tomorrow, downtown LA, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, Melrose, as soon as the election is over, get y'all ski mask and duffel bags ready. Hashtag loot city, hashtag F for president. This has nothing to do about
what are you trying to accomplish?
But it has nothing to do with an election. It has everything.
Right.
But that's the crazy thing is we've allowed a lot of these issues, the presidency, we've allowed, the death of a man, we've allowed COVID-19 to just give people excuses and reasons to go out there and act a fool. And when you start decriminalizing a lot of things and people aren't afraid of the consequences, this is the society you're going to get. This is honestly the society that you're going to get, people that aren't afraid to go out there and make a mistake. Or not even make a mistake, to go out there and victimize other people because they know there's no consequences. And so, trust me, we could talk about criminal reform or prison reform. I'm all about giving people the right to get your rights back once you've, served your time. Like I think there's out here, there on the ballots right now is giving felons the right to vote after they've served their sentence. I'm all about it. Like, hey, you've done your time, you've served, did whatever you had to do, and you've got out of prison and whatever it may be. You know what? You have every right to vote as long as you've done your time and maybe with some few provisions in there or stuff like that. But at the same time, we can't start decriminalizing everything. Like you're not going to be able to accomplish anything. And sadly, a lot of the people that vote in favor of decriminalizing things are oftentimes going to be the victims of it. And by the time they realize what they did, it's too late.
Can you imagine like growing up and, picture being like, I don't know, 16 years old and you go out to Best Buy and like loot it and you come back to the house with a bunch of stuff. Boy, I'm getting tore apart.
Oh, bro. Yeah, you don't need police.
Like, I'm getting destroyed. My mom probably won't let me get 3 steps in the house. She gonna hit me with the 2-piece and a biscuit. Where you get that stuff from?
No need for
police. You
police.
can't afford that?
No,
but it's like almost
police.
now like it's encouraged. It's encouraged. So the crazy part is, I think that's what Shelby said. I say a lot. The crazy part. So that's my somebody pulled my string. That's my.
So my
is,
new nickname is Frustrated. Your new nickname is Crazy Part.
Crazy Part. We need shirts.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy Part, Frustrated. And we got to get one for Billy.
I'm a Republican.
Super Republican. The Republican.
With a crock underneath of it.
So we got the Republican, we got Crazy Part, and we got Frustrated, bro. We need shirts.
I like it. I done forgot what I was about to say. Oh, if you're listening to this, it's probably after the election. And right now, we don't know what to expect. Who's going to win, what it's going to look like, if people are going to riot and loot and act all crazy. But the crazy part about it, look, there I go. I can't even stop saying it now.
Oh, man. So, well, let's transition a little bit before we wrap up the podcast today. Big Blue, right now, you are the voice of all of our listeners out there. And you are the one that actually has front row seats into the studio. So you get a behind the scenes. And so what I mean by that, by being the voice, what are some things that you would like to, and I'm putting you on the spot right now, maybe you got to think about it, but what are some things that you would want me, AJ, or Billy to know or to either improve upon, keep doing? And on behalf of any other podcast listener out there, is there anything that you would like to tell us because you're here? So, yeah, I kind of put you on the spot. Do you need me to come back to you? Or you think you got something right now?
No, I got something.
Let's do it.
Oh, that's scary.
Like,
I got a whole list.
He pulled his notepad out. He's like,
I got the whole list right here.
Funny you should bring that up.
You guys already talked about Frustrated, and you already talked.
Funny you should bring that up. Where do I start? So, go ahead, Big Blue. You could actually, if you do have notes on your phone.
Oh, no, I don't.
Because he did look at his phone. I was like, oh, he really do got notes right now.
No. I mean, I like to think that I'm not one-sided. I like to think that I can see and critique just kind of like the way you guys do, just notice the wrong, notice the right. I really don't have much to give you guys as far as like what kind of advice is what to do better, just because I feel like you guys are doing amazing work when it comes to being able to educate. I mean, you guys of course are educated on the issues that happen, but being able to do all of the research, being able to present it, being able to put up with the constant negativity, the fact that somebody could take something you guys say and run with it a whole different way. Really just always kind of being under attack, being able to stay sane, seeing what you guys see at work, just kind of like the two cases that Ryan was on the other day, and then being able to just come home and be a good father and, be a good person doing this podcast. So really, I don't even want to, I don't have anything to kind of critique you guys on, just because I like to say, that I will always point out the bad and I will always recognize the good. I feel like that's kind of what you guys do. And I feel like this is why this is growing so much. And hopefully this continues to grow, because that's why we're stuck in America right now, or in the world, because most people cannot really have a conversation with somebody that they do not like, or they do not, they don't share the same views. Mm-hmm. So I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job when it comes to researching everything, being able to explain it to people, being able to stay calm and put your own feelings aside, put your own training aside. So I think that's really important. That's really I don't know if me being the spokesperson for all of the followers can agree to this, but I think everything you guys are doing is definitely needed, and it's going pretty well as well.
Man, that is what I'm talking about, man. Hold on.
And I call my man Big Blue too. What, you got some crowd noise?
We need to get those buttons.
Hopefully it's not copywritten.
Mine was way better. Mine was like crystal clear.
It could have been
Dolby surround sound.
It could have been this one.
30 people.
That ain't sound like claps. That sound like somebody had the bubble guts in the wings.
Oh man.
But Big Blue, just so you know, man, like I know you've heard us say it before on the podcast. Like it's people like you that give us the motivation to keep doing what we do. A lot of people don't know this, but Ryan and I talked way before like we even started the podcast, and we were just like, we need to do it for a year. Do it for a year. Like no matter how bad it sucks, no matter how good it is, we'll do it for a year and then see how it is. But it's people like you that made that year so much better and made us push like even further and like even harder and like made us step our game up. Like I'm sure the people who watch it are like noticing like, Ryan went from a room in his house to a whole studio, right? And I went from recording on a little camera on my laptop to now I got like a 4K camera. Like, like we're invested in this because of people like you, because we constantly get that good feedback. So just know that like there wouldn't be us if it wasn't for you guys and girls out there that are listening to this. So, definitely thank you. We don't say that to just say it because it sounds cool, or that's just what, other people on podcasts say. Like we truly mean it. We truly mean it because we do feel that this information is necessary to have readily available, which is why we do this, which is exactly why we do this.
Now, let me ask you this, Big Blue. Do you like us having guests on our show, or do you like just me and AJ and Billy?
Honestly, there was a couple weeks back to back that you guys had guests, and I loved it just because you could hear different perspectives of different people. Like I said, the biggest thing is perspective, but I feel like some of my favorite episodes have came from just you and AJ because of the fact that you guys just vent and just kind of let everything out. So I
frustrated,
and the crazy part is, so although I do like most of the guests though.
Well, I say that because my wife, she's like, why do you always just sound like you're angry and venting? So I appreciate you, Big Blue. That was shout out to him. Yeah. Babe, I did not tell Big Blue to say that. He said that on his own accord, but
he texted me
before. So that being said, that's good to know because we want to know, we're approaching the end of the year. We always want to do things, and it's crazy because we talked about last year when we came into 2020, what are some things we wanted to do with the podcast? And we talked about having a lot of guests on this year. And we've actually had a really good amount of guests on, people that are doing some phenomenal things. And so as we start to wrap, 2020 up and never look back at it, we want to also talk about what 2021 is going to look like with the podcast because we want to continue to grow. Here we are 2 years later. Our downloads are still skyrocketing. We have yet to be stagnant. And so we want to continue to improve. So I appreciate that, Big Blue. Go ahead.
Big Blue, I got a couple questions for my guy. If you could add something to the podcast, you don't have to necessarily change anything that we're doing, but if you could add, whether it's like a segment, you know, I don't know, if you could add anything particular to the podcast to help us do what we do, or maybe it's just to help us even reach further, what would it be?
Oh man, you got me there.
That's a tough one.
I think being able to have more people that are really like anti-cops, like really against police officers, being able to have them, and being able to have, you know, there's celebrities. Of course, it's really hard and probably impossible to get a hold of celebrities, except unless you're Ryan. But but being able to
Yeah, keep going.
I like when Ryan gets made fun of. It's always about being rich and knowing famous people. No one makes fun of me about that.
Hey, I don't got them
Compliments.
problems.
I want those insults. I think just being able to kind of have people that are super against police officers, and I saw him loading that up this whole time too. Just,
I like that. I like that.
yeah,
You know, the only
opposite
issue with
sides.
that is
I
they don't
agree.
want to come on the podcast.
No, I agree with that though, because I think we could. I think debate is the wrong term, but like really go over talking points from both sides and discuss them. I think would be really cool with like some anti-police people.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm gonna find somebody.
I agree
I'm
with
gonna
that.
get Sean King on the podcast.
Sean
So I
King.
gotta holler at
Bro,
him.
we might. I
do you
might
think
have
he
to
would
scrap.
come?
I might have to scrap
Do you
with
think he would-
Sean.
I doubt he would come on.
Nah,
man.
he probably wouldn't.
Nah, he wouldn't.
I'd be ready to
He
scrap.
wouldn't.
But that goes back to my point. A lot of those people don't want to step out of their comfort zone because, and I hate to say this, but it's true. A lot of these guys make their living now on staying on whatever side they are on and not venturing out. That's why I say I appreciate the fact of Big Blue acknowledging the simple fact that I was calling out some of the negative police work we do. That's not a lot of, you don't really see that too often. And so I don't do it because I'm trying to go out there and make a killing and make a living off of this. I do it because it's the right thing to do. Whereas you have some of these other people, they do it because this is how they're making their money and all this other stuff. So yeah, it's
And
just,
I want that too, to be honest. Like I want a guest that's so mad, like I want to be yelled at on the podcast. Like I think about that often. Like I want some guests to be like, "No, you don't know what you blah blah blah." I'm trying to have that powerful of a dialogue on the podcast. So if anybody listening to this knows somebody that will bring that energy, that hates the police, shoot
Right.
me a message.
But
I'm
actually
trying to-
knows stuff, like can talk too.
Yeah,
You know,
nothing
like-
crazy. I'm not trying to
like-
have just somebody angry, but yeah, somebody who is just passionate about
you about to see
not
me,
trusting the police,
You
not
about to
liking
start
the
to see me
police.
flip chairs over, bro. I'm about to be like
That's what-
Birdman.
I'm trying to be- I'm
put
trying
some
to be
respect on
screaming
my
too,
name.
like,
You better put some respect on my name.
Hey, if anyone listening does know someone, DM our It's Needed podcast Instagram
There you
page,
go.
because there's less DMs on there and we'll be able to see it.
Yeah,
Do not, don't message me.
Yeah, 'cause I'm
I'm
probably not
not even
gonna
gonna
see
sit
it.
here and beat your ears if I ain't gonna see you. Go ahead and hit up.
So what I want to do before we wrap it up, I want to end on something funny and some positive stuff. So
His
it's-
caprice in his bank account, funny and positive.
Hey, you like these ladies. Hey, you like these ladies. Y'all been everybody been capping today. All right, let's see how y'all do. AJ just mad because we talking about his Boost mobile phone he got.
Right.
So, anyways, so I did a video a while back, or not a while back, but a few weeks ago. It actually has gotten a lot of views. It's over 100,000 views of why we don't shoot people in the leg. And I find it so funny how people are just so experts in something that they're not experts in. Like
Curve the bullet.
I was listening to, oh my
Dude,
God, wait
people are like that.
till I read this to you, but and this is just one of them. I was trying to find some other ones, but I was listening to Tatum talk the other day on live, and he was talking to somebody that's one of those naysayers, and Tatum was hitting him with nothing but facts, and so the other dude he was talking to, he kept saying, well, Tatum, I'm not an expert in that field. You're supposed to know this. You're supposed to know this. But then when Tatum would respond with something, this other guy would come back and say all this knowledge he has on the topic. And it's like, okay, well, where'd you just get that knowledge from? Because obviously you just said you weren't the expert, but now all of a sudden you're the expert. So in regards to that shooting video, I'm not going to say the F word because my wife would get mad, but it perturbs me that
that F word.
yeah, it perturbs me. So somebody, and this again, the video was talking about why we don't shoot people in the leg. So somebody with their infinite amount of knowledge that they have said, okay, but if you shoot in the leg, they aim downwards, meaning the bullet should aim at an angle that would automatically be stopped by the ground versus aiming at the chest area, which is higher, and cause death of others. Who's to say the officer didn't have good aim that day? Also, our technology has changed drastically. We're in 2020, so you're saying no one can find a better way, like an electrical shot? You can shoot without killing or doing harm? I believe there's options. There's always is. The government is just ignorant and doesn't care.
oh, the government's ignorant. Gotcha. Okay.
So, but the crazy thing is, people really like people that are experts, like myself and I. I'm obviously an expert saying myself and I. Like myself and AJ, people that are experts in what an expert really is all you got to do is know a little bit more than the average person in the field, and you're an expert. But people that do police work, that know what we can and cannot do and why we do it, we're fools at doing what we're doing, and everybody else has no knowledge in these department can say, oh, well, you should do this, or you should do that. It just baffles me. And I can go on and on about some of these comments that people were saying about why we don't shoot people in the legs. They're talking about, oh, well, if it shoots to the ground, then the ground's going to stop it and catch it and swallow the bullet all
skip.
up.
Bullet skip.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know why.
You tear somebody's foot up shooting like that.
Yeah. So
some poor innocent child walking down the street, mind their business.
Yeah. So, and the last thing we'll do is we're going to end on a positive note. So, where are we at on time, Billy? I know it's kind of a little bit of a shorter episode today, but
yeah, we're at 50 minutes.
50 minutes. Let's hit you guys with some of our feedback, since today the focus is perspective and feedback from our fans. I also want to give some.
I got one too.
I want to give some positive stuff.
I had one. Look, boom. She just messaged me back. I'm not gonna say her name on here. It's kind of a lengthy one, so bear with me. But this is what we're talking about when we get good feedback. She said, "Thank you so much for doing." Hold on. Thank you for doing what you do each and every day. My husband is a police officer for 28 years and a sergeant for 6. He, like yourself, was hurt on the job 7 months ago, saving a 14-year-old who was high on acid and tried to jump off of a 4-story building. He was able to save him, thank God. He's 50 and in great shape, but things don't work as good as they used to. Ha ha ha. He had a torn hamstring, right rotator cuff, and is needing left shoulder done as well. He wants nothing more than to be out there with his guys like you talk about. God, and this is parentheses, adult children included, or God, we love listening to you and Ryan. My girls, clients, and friends hear so much about you guys each and every day. The hatred towards our police is hard for me, so much more than blank, her husband's name. And then she just goes on to say how she had to leave her church because her pastor kind of went on this like emotional path after George Floyd, and how she went to, I believe, Africa on a mission trip, and to do Bible studies, and she does a hair salon, and she put together like these hair salons and whatnot. And then she went on to end it basically saying that, it's because of our podcast that she stays motivated, and when she's doing hair that she constantly talks about us to her clients and whatnot. So thank you so much, Blank. I don't want to put your name out there just in case you don't want it to be public like that, but I read it anyway. Hope you forgive me.
No, that's legit. That's super, super cool. And thank you for listening to us. We really appreciate you. And again, you are just like Big Blue, are a big part of our motivation. I have one too. Eye-opening and inspirational is the title. This podcast is a perfect place to find unbiased facts and a better understanding of the current events we are so deeply affected by in today's society. These guys give great advice and are inspirational for law enforcement. But as a wife of a cop, I find solace listening as well. I think I can say my worry for my husband and his profession is much higher than his own, or maybe that's just what he wants me to believe. I get ease of mind knowing that there are people out there who get it and support the men and women protecting and serving their communities. My biggest takeaway from their podcast is how important it is to try and be understanding of other people and their views, even when they seem so incredibly misguided. We can't just cut people out of our lives because we have different opinions. I love how these guys accept everyone, even those who bash them on a daily basis for what they do. That is inspirational in itself, and has taught me that this world needs more people like that, and I'm going to do my best each day to be one of them. We can all still be united, though we have different opinions. Even if you hate my husband and what he does, I will still love you and try to educate you of the hero he is to myself and so many others. Grateful for these guys and what they're doing. I hope more people listen and get as big of a takeaway from this as I have. It's needed.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Ryan, I want to switch gears just real quick.
Yep,
I know we
let's
got
do
like
it.
10 minutes,
Let's
maybe
do it.
like 6 minutes left. As I said earlier, you probably won't listen to this podcast until after the election, which means there's going to be a lot of first responders pulling 16, 18-hour shifts, going through a lot of stuff, getting hurt, not seeing their loved ones, you name it. Hit us with some positivity, some final words for just our listeners in general regarding that.
So regarding that, if you are a first responder, and I think I made mention of this the other day in a video, stay in the fight. And what I mean by that, and I hate to say fight because physically I'm not saying, hey, go out there and bash people's heads in, but stay in this spiritual fight that we're in, this battle versus good versus evil. Realize that, you are called to be a vessel of God. You're called to be used by God. And so it is your responsibility to go out there and shed light to the dark world. And nothing good comes without going through a little bit of adversity. And so you got to go through some adversity in order to get what the end result, which will hopefully be, some triumph. And so you got to go through trials to get to triumph. And then the last thing I'm going to say, and this is my challenge. So if you're a listener of this podcast, I want you to reach out to somebody who is not like you, whether that be you're Republican and they're Democrat, whether you're white and they're black, whether they're, whatever it is. I want you to find somebody that is not like you, and I want you to just try to have an open dialogue with them. Or if you don't want to have a dialogue with them, just reach out to them and tell them that I care about you. That's it. You can keep it as that simple. But I think what we need is we need to pull together as a community. We need to pull together as a society. So because there are going to be a lot of people out there trying to do some dangerous things within the next few days. And the only way that we're going to be able to combat that is to team together to stop these people that are going to try to victimize, the innocent. And so that's my motivation. Good. And so AJ, same question to you, bro. I'm gonna flip your same question back to you.
First and foremost, stay safe. I'm going to tell you to go out here and have conversations with people and, to have these tough dialogues and, whatnot. But first and foremost, stay safe. You have a family that you want to go home to. You have loved ones that you want to see. You took this job knowing that you could get hurt. You didn't take this job to get hurt. Know the difference. Don't go out here and let nobody hurt you, throw something at you. Don't sit there and take it. If you could grab them and arrest them, grab them and arrest them, as long as your policy and your supervisor are telling you to do that. The second thing is, try to understand people's perspectives. Once again, I'm not saying let them hurt you, but understand people's frustrations, my man Ryan, and that they're upset, right? They're upset because maybe they don't know no better. They're upset because maybe they do know better. Maybe they know something we don't. So try to have those conversations when you can. And lastly, like my man Ryan said, stay in the fight. Stay in the fight. Like, you are in this position for a reason. Good and dang well, just like I do and just like Ryan does and just like everybody else, Billy, my man included, that not everybody could be in your shoes as far as being a first responder. Not everybody could fill those shoes as far as going out there, working the long weekends, working the holidays, not seeing your loved ones, being critiqued every time you make a move. You're in this position because you can handle it. Remind yourself that. You're doing this for a reason. Keep fighting, stay safe, and have those tough conversations when you can.
I love it. My man, Big Blue, any last parting thoughts for our listeners?
For everybody that's in law enforcement, and just stay safe, stay in the fight like you guys said. Just know that it's it's good versus evil, and just ultimately stay safe and try to empathize with people and hear why they're frustrated, and so we can grow and become better.
Sounds good. Mr. Republican.
Ditto. Happy election day, everybody.
Oh man. So hey guys, we truly appreciate your guys' support as always. We forget something?
Hold up. Billy, can you give us a little bit more good news when it comes to our sponsor that's been rocking with us since we had sponsors?
So the most important day of the year in capitalism America is Black Friday. Okay? So, thinlineanthem.com/it's needed. Put in your email. You're going to be on the early bird list to get major discounts at Thin Line Anthem. So thinlineanthem.com/it's needed. We got a personalized page from them, which was great. Dan, like one of the owners over there, is awesome and made that page for us. So go on there, guys. And, you know, we need our supplements and to work out and be healthy and all that good jazz.
And just so everyone out there knows, you know, that this ain't like a shameful plug. Just so you know that we truly believe in it. Like, you know, Dan bought a It's Needed shirt and went hiking with it and was like sending us pictures of it. They have been rocking with us since we opened up the doors to accept sponsors and advertisements with our podcast. In the thick of all of this chaos where people were canceling law enforcement shows, canceling police officers, not serving police officers at restaurants, this company stepped up and said, hey, we're going to rock with them because we believe in what they're doing. So keep that in mind when we talk about them, when we share this story. They created a web page for us. So make sure you hop on there and show them some love. They make great products and they're great people.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Big Blue has one other thing to say.
I will say too, I am not sponsored by Thin Line Anthem, but I did receive my prizes, and the chocolate protein, it's absolutely amazing. Just with water,
Yes,
it's super
sir.
quick. It tastes
Good,
really good.
good.
So
Hey, there it is.
You heard it
sir.
first, Canada.
Hey,
Shipping.
can't look this good unless you're on Thin Line Anthem. So I'm just saying. So on behalf of my man, the Republican, on behalf of what was your wife say you say all the time?
The crazy part.
Crazy part.
Crazy part.
The crazy part is,
So on behalf of the Republican, on behalf of the crazy part, and on behalf of Frustrated, we love you guys.
We do.
And we'll see you guys.
oh, here we
next
go.
week.
I got greens, beans, tomatoes, potatoes.
It's Christmas, y'all. Let's get ready. Hey, let's get ready. We gonna drop the mic. Hey, Mariah Carey though. She be getting down.
what?
Mariah Carey, she still get down.
Oh,
I mean,
bro, I thought you said something way different.
nah. Mariah Carey, man, them vocals, man, this song still hits. So
Did
anyway,
you see the meme where it said it was split and the left side said, what did it say? Well, hold on, let me see. I'm getting my months confused. It said October, like the last day of October, and then the next one said November 1st, and it had like Mariah Carey like peeking over the fence waiting.
I love it, y'all. All right, y'all. We love you guys. Make sure you guys leave us a review. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace. Oh, that was
The
perfect.
timing of that was great.
I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay.
We'll see y'all.